Did you know that when you prophesy, you actually prophesy in part? If you move in the gift of prophecy, or you want to start to move in the prophetic, when you prophesy, it's going to be in part. So scripture says that when you prophesy in part. Now that's going to be the case from someone that moves in the simple gift of prophecy, through to prophetic ministry, through to someone who's a full-on office of a prophet. You're still going to have an element of prophesying in part. And so we're going to look at four specific ways and reasons why actually you could prophesy in part and what it means to prophesy in part. So number one is you could prophesy 100% accuracy. You could be absolutely spot on with your prophetic word, but that prophetic word that you give is out of context. You don't know the context in which you're giving that prophetic word. You don't know the story behind it. You don't know what it's all about. You don't know where it's going. You just get a small little snippet of information, small little bit of information, and you could be accurate about that specific bit of information. But the wider context on where that information goes, where the prophetic word goes, you don't know. You're prophesying in part. Let me give you an example. I have in my pocket somewhere. Yes, here we are. I have in my pocket a jigsaw piece. Now, imagine if the prophetic is like a jigsaw piece. The prophetic word is like a jigsaw piece. So you've got a whole jigsaw, which is someone's life. And you get a prophetic word, and your prophetic word is like a jigsaw piece. Now this is this jigsaw piece right here, so I can show it up to you. Look at that. So you could be 100% accurate about this jigsaw piece. So there's some water, looks like a little bit of a grassy bank, maybe the top of some tall ships like the sails, very top part of it, bottom of a bridge. So that's what this is in this jigsaw. So I could prophesy accurately. I could prophesy there is grass, there is a river, there is bottoms, foundations of some sort of bridge. I could be accurate about that. But then where this jigsaw piece fits in the context of the actual jigsaw as a whole, you don't know. That's what in part. You can be accurate as you like about this piece of jigsaw. But where is this? Is this at the edge? Is this at the centre? Where on earth does this jigsaw piece go in the puzzle of life? Where does it fit in the person's story, in that person's life? You don't know a full picture. You don't know the full context. You get a little bit of information, and that's it. You prophesy in part. You don't know the whole story. The second reason you can prophesy in part is when you get a prophetic word. So you get revelation that comes into your spirit, but it sort of emerges with your own filters of your own imagination, your own ideas. You put your own spin on that prophetic word. So when you speak the prophetic word out, instead of being straight on, accurate, it kind of goes out a little bit to one side. The revelation is right. You get accurate revelation from God, but you tend to go through your own ideas on it, your own filter, your own views. Maybe something that God is speaking to you about personally, and you kind of then superimpose what God is speaking to you about personally onto this prophetic word. And so it comes out a little bit lopsided to one side. You tend to put your own spin on the prophetic word. You give the prophetic word out, but it comes through a little bit of your own spin. The revelation's right, but the interpretation of that prophetic word is not 100% accurate. You're prophesying in part. It's going through your own mind, your own ideas, and your own filters. The third reason you can prophesy in part, and this is a continuation from the second point, is that when you start to prophesy out, you could start to prophesy out through your own theological filters, your own personality and your own theological viewpoints. And so you're speaking a prophetic word, but it goes through your theological filter. It goes through your personal filter. And so it comes out again a little bit one-sided. It's a little bit right, it's in the right area, but it's not as accurate as it could be because you're letting your own theological understanding. The scripture says in Proverbs, do not lean to your own understanding. And so sometimes when you give a prophetic word out and start prophesying, sometimes there's a danger of leaning a little bit to your own understanding. A lot of things get in the way when God speaks. When God speaks revelation into us, it kind of starts to filter in with our own personality, our own ideas on things, the things that God's speaking to us about, our history with God, your own theological views, maybe even sin issues in your life starts to corrupt it a little bit. And so when it starts to go through your own flesh as well, so when you start to speak out, it's not 100% there, spot on. You prophesy in part. And the fourth reason you prophesy in part, it could be that actually you just got that prophetic word plain wrong. You didn't really hear from God at all. It was just your own mind, your own imagination, and so you speak out, you're prophesying, you think this is what God is saying, but actually a lot of it actually was wrong. You just got maybe a little bit snippet, but then you started to elaborate a bit too much on it, and you just got it completely plain wrong. So there are 4 reasons as to why you could prophesy in part. This is why Scripture tells you to test prophecy. We're told, Scripture tells us to test prophecy, to hang on to what is true. So when someone gives you a prophetic word, pray about it, hold it in balance, speak to people about it, hold on to what you think is the good part, and then the bits you're not too sure about, just leave on to one side. And later, when you re-evaluate that prophetic word, you may find some of that, but you left to one side, relevant, and some of it not relevant. No, there's no pressure. We shouldn't put pressure on people to give accurate, specific prophetic words all the time, because we prophesy in part, and the person receiving that prophetic word has a responsibility to weigh and to test it. So I hope you found this interesting. Hope you found it helpful. 4 reasons why you prophesy in part. And if you like this, then please subscribe, because it helps the ministry, and share it because that helps the ministry. And I will talk to you next time. Thank you.